All right, I've been working on this. It's a 71 International 2656. It's got the D282 motor. As best I can tell, this came in a lot of stuff that farmall produced, as well as International. And yeah, my problem has been precup removal. I simply couldn't get them out. You probably know already, these thingies are where the precups go. Injectors sit on top of those, and there's a seal between the bottom of the head, the head, and the precup. There's a seal there, and then there's a seal between the precup and the injector. And I rebuilt the injectors, installed them, and the seals around the precups were leaking, so I had to pull them. So, how I got mine out? Well, my first step was to just take a pair of circlip pliers, stick them inside the precup, and hope for the best. So I got 2 of them out. And then for the next 2, I went on ahead and made my first tool. I just wound up making a generic slide hammer. Some bearing thing I found, and piece of a rebar, welded a stop on the end, welded a nut on the bottom, and I found some bolts and just kind of went to town with a grinder, making the shapes you see on the end here, and those worked fairly well. That got 2 more out, and I guess I'll give you a little tip here. When I was using these, just jam them in, jam it in there, and then if you take a screwdriver on this backside and pry up against it, it'll help to hold it in, and you can really put a lot of force into that slide hammer. But all the carbon deposits on them, I had 2 that still would not come out. And I did do a little bit of research. I found out International made a tool to remove these things, and I guess you can't get them anymore, and it also destroys the precup in the process. I don't even know what these things look like, but I didn't have access to one. So my next genius thought was, well, what can I jam down inside of there and try to stop the hole up, and then use the compression to possibly shoot the precup out. Well, it worked. What I came up with, these are some kind of freeze plug, expandable rubber grommets that a lot of people use as freeze plugs. I don't really like them, but hey, they worked for this. I bought a bigger one to begin with. It just goes down and sits right in the top. You tighten it up, well, it doesn't seal enough. This just flies out, and that's the end of that. I went back, and I found another one that's smaller. This is pretty eaten up. I doubt I can get it back in here without a hammer and some WD-40 or something. But that'll sit all the way in there. Maybe I can press it in. Anyways, I can't make it go right now, but trust me, you get the right size one, they will fit down in the precups. And get it all the way down in there, tighten it up, and then the next step, because the precup and the grommet are going to come flying out. The more stuck they are, the more force they come out. What I came up with initially, my idea was to use the bolt holes. I was going to put the bolts in it and make a little bracket to go across it to hold them in. And I'm really glad I didn't, because I think it would have been enough force, at least with one of them, to probably shear the bolts off. I couldn't believe how hard it came out. What I did in the end, I put the bolts in just to hold this hammer in, and just set the hammer over it like that on the first one. And it came out with enough force that, well, I'm pretty sure it put a bend in my hammer. It came out and hit somewhere around here. And it also threw, this is what, maybe a 8 pound sledgehammer. It flew from there to over on the other side of that wood by that tank. Yeah, I really couldn't believe it either. But learned another lesson from all that. And where's the precup? It's damaged. Yeah, I pretty much messed up one of the precups. That ain't it. There it is. You might be able to see on that one. It's nice and shiny over here. Well, it put a big divot in the side of it. It was enough that it was not going to seal, and I had to weld that in, grind off some more. So save yourself some time. What I came up with was stuffing some rags down in it, and that cushioned it enough. The hammer really didn't fly very far after that. Just picked it up off the ground. You know, it worked fine. So yeah, go get you some rubber grommets. Throw a sledgehammer on there. Stuff some rags in it, crank it over, they come flying out, no problem at all. It got two of my worst ones out. I hope this helps, and good luck.